Let's read this problem carefully. It says a cookie recipe calls for 2.5 cups of sugar and 1.5 cups of flour, but you only have 1 cup of flour. So you have to modify the recipe. How much sugar will you use? This is a perfect example of how you have to really read the question, right? You have to look at the problem, look at the information that you're given, and see exactly what's going on here. So when we set up our table, we always put the 1 up here. That is going to refer to whatever item we have one of or that we want one of. So it's not the sugar. Don't just jump to conclusions and say, oh, that's the question, I'm going to put sugar here. It says right here you only have 1 cup of flour. So the 1 goes with the flour. That is what we're basing our answer on, 1 cup of flour. So if flour is on this row, then sugar is going to go on this one. And now we can fill in these things. All right, so we go back to the beginning. A cookie recipe calls for 2.5 cups of sugar. So 2 1/2 is going to go here, and 1.5 cups of flour. So the original recipe wants 1.5 cups of flour. You ain't got it. You only got 1 cup, so we're going to have to shift some things around. Okay, so once we've got this, we can start filling in the rest. So we know that we need to change these into improper fractions in order to work with them with ratios, since we're always multiplying or dividing with ratios. So that's 3/2, and this one would be 5/2. Okay, what am I going to multiply by? Well, if I have 3/2 and I want to get 1 whole, I multiply by the flip. So I'm going to essentially be taking 2/3 of my recipe. That's how it's going to work out. So if I multiply by 2/3 on the top, I'm going to multiply by 2/3 on the bottom as well. These, just to check, do all cancel out. So I do have 1 cup of flour. And here, 5/2 times 2/3, the 2's will cancel out. And so I'm left with 5 on the top and 3 on the bottom. Or if I change this into a mixed number, that would be 1 and 2/3. So 1 and 2/3 cup of sugar is what I'm going to need.